go button, and you're ready to go whenever you're ready to go.
All right, well, we're group 5. We did the selection matrix and decision. I'm Zach.
Matt.
I'm David.
All right, and I'm going over employee selection, testing, and screening. That's just a little bit of an overview. Testing basically is the practice of administering tests to determine the desirability of an applicant, and screening is the process of investigating background of applicants and verifying accuracy of certain claims, as you can see there. And I'm going to start with talking about a little about employee selection and why it's important. There's 3 reasons why it's important. One's performance, because obviously if someone's not performing correctly, it could hurt profitability negatively, obviously. And then cost. Interviewing someone and going through that whole entire process is very expensive if you're finding the wrong person. And lastly is legal obligations, which I'm about to talk to on the next slide. So negligent hiring is hiring someone with with a criminal background, whether you know it or not. You should have done the check. And Pontiac's first KMS Investments talks about an apartment manager who had access to someone's apartment and assaulted them, and the apartment owner hired this person without seeing that they had a criminal background. And there's 2 tools to testing. One's reliability. That's that you should be able to take the same test over and over again and get pretty similar results. And validity. It basically, does the test measure what you want it to measure? And this is 5 steps to how to validate a test. They're all right there. They're all pretty basic. But number 1, analyze the job. It's pretty much meaning that you're looking for predictors, which are like the keys to success for that specific job. And 2, 3, and 4 are pretty basic. 5, cross-validate and revalidate is testing multiple different people to make sure that this test does what you want it to do. And Outback has an example of how they cut costs and boost profits. The industry average for restaurants is 200% employee turnover, but they have a 40 to 50% employee turnover, and that's because they've tried multiple ways for new tests. And what they do is they take a test, and if your compassion is low for that section, they don't even ask you for a second interview. There's 3 types of tests. Intelligent test, which looks for cognitive ability, which is pretty much like an IQ test. It sees like how you can think. It's more so ability. Motor physical test it tests dexterity for like Marines, pilots. It's with your hands mainly. A personality test could be something like ink blots. Work samples and simulations. This is pretty much, I guess an example for this is it tests it puts you into just throws you into the fire and you just do it like a cashier. They want you to basically count the money or just execute how to use a register. It could be something as simple as that. And I have a couple examples of some simulations. Management Assessment Center, which you can see is 2 to 3 day simulation, 10 to 12 candidates, and you do realistic tests under the observation of experts who appraise each leader. And Cheesecake Factory does this for actual managers, and they'll give you phone calls, emails, and you have to take action. And they have people who outside people that judge on how you do it. Minister job training and evaluation approach is done by car manufacturers mainly. They actually test you and they give you training before you're even hired. It's very expensive, but they need it because they're looking for thousands of workers, and it's an easy way. If you offer free training, it's an easy way to get people to come out. And why perform background checks? Verify the applicant's name. So a survey of 7,000 executive resumes found that 23% contains exaggerated or false information, and the second reason, uncovered damaging information. And believe it or not, not everyone does background checks. It's only 87% that were surveyed do even reference checks, and 69% do employment checks. And here's an example. So Scott Thompson was named Yahoo CEO in 2009, and not even 4 months in, there was something came out where a heavy investor came out and sent something to the board of directors saying that he lied on his resume, and it was something really simple. He said he was an accounting and computer science degree. He was really only accounting, but still they had to answer for that and ask him to step down. So reference checks, I'd say right here that they're not very useful, and it's because usually previous employers will only state the dates the employee worked, the last salary, and the position title. And it's mainly because they don't want to be held liable for any bad mouthing or defamation. And it says over 80% of former employees will not discuss character or disciplinary action. So they turn to social media nowadays, and obviously it's very popular and more employees are checking it. Some will even look for mutual friends and ask them about you, their own personal check. And it's for a firm, it's very crucial to ask the applicant's permission first before you do something like this. There's a lot of laws coming out. And another way that is a pre-employment information service where you pay pretty much an online service to conduct the check. but there's a lot of laws, like the equal employment law, like can kick in. You're not allowed to ask them many questions about like they have a disability for compensation reasons, and you have to tell them before you do this. And if there's any adverse action that's going to be taken, you need to let them know first. Polygraph and honesty testing used to be a lot more popular, but it measures psychological changes, and since the 1980s, they can't be used on just any employer, and they must meet these circumstances I have here, and also even before that, they need to have reasonable suspicion or like an economic loss before they can even use that. Drug testing, I'm sure a lot of people have had happen to them. It's usually right before the hire. The employer will call you, you have a little bit of a window, and you have to get the drug test done in that window. It's also done after workplace incidents, and it's never 100% positive. Sometimes it can mix like Advil for weed. And going on Exxon, the picture's there because a worker basically like was tested for coke, and he like carried flammable like oil like and stuff all over, and then like his union actually got him the job back. That's how like I don't have time for this. Legal issues. And this right here are 4 athletes that have tested positive for drugs, and this just is like these people all have it ruined their reputation, but they all have redemption unlike us, and everyone should know like their rights and what like so they're not taken advantage of by an employer. So because you probably only have one chance. And AmerisourceBergen, basically, it's a simple new and new for me. I got drug tested for them, but also throughout that, I got in trouble twice for social media when I was 20 for having like alcohol in my photo when I didn't even hold it. And if I didn't know them, I probably would have gotten fired. But I had a good relationship with them, so you got to be very careful.
Increase the 4 hours.
That's paused, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about the AmerisourceBergen. They went while you were an employee there. They looked at your social media sites.
Yeah.
And you were tagged in a photo for somebody.
Yeah, I don't. They didn't even show me the photo actually, but they just said to be careful and to like get that off of my like stuff. Like I was just an intern too, and I had a really good relationship with them, so I'm not sure. I knew a lot of people there. I'm not sure who told. I feel like they didn't look. Maybe someone told them or relayed it to them.
Interesting.
But they didn't really tell me.
Alright, so I'm Matt. I'm going to be talking about the creation of the selection matrix. And my voice is a little hoarse. I had a lacrosse tournament on Sunday, so if it cracks, please don't laugh too much. So I'm going to go just an overview of what is the selection matrix. It's a tool that you're going to use to hire people. Basically, you use it by ranking every candidate that there is, and you put them on a fair scale. And you can build it through Excel, or you can do it by hand. And basically, it just helps by clarifying your decision and makes it easier for you to hire and makes it all on an even scale. So I'm going to talk about the Knicks for a little bit. I love sports. The Knicks have been struggling for a while. Phil Jackson has to hire a new coach, but you got to simplify the hiring process. So there's a bunch of candidates out there that you can pick. Basically, he's got to really evaluate and figure out what fits the team, how it's going to work with the team. So the selection matrix definition, it's a tool that objectively quantifies an applicant's skills and qualifications to a job opening. So what it really means is, like, you're basically just you're looking at attributes in a resume or in interviews, and you're trying to figure out how it fits to your job opening. And you're trying to figure out the best piece for your job. So why use a selection matrix? One, it reduces discrimination, it creates equal opportunity, and it helps look at candidates more objectively. The idea is to put all the candidates on an equal playing field. So you basically, you don't want to pick favorite employees, you want to pick whoever's the most qualified. It can be used anywhere. It's huge in team environments. You're really trying to match team players together. But you can use it in entry-level jobs. You can use it when there's promotions, for managers, vice presidents, anything. So next I'm going to talk about employee clusters. So really there's like 3 types. There's high, medium, and low. And the whole idea of this selection matrix is to get rid of those medium and lows and kind of filter them out and really just focus on the high employee clusters. You know, you want to find exceptional, outstanding, excellent, you know, someone that'll stick with your business. So here's a template for a selection matrix. I'm going to get into it more, but you can see there's different stages of the interviewing process, a bunch of sections, each candidate's and all the scale ratings. So first we're going to focus on the sections when that pops up in a little bit. So I'm sorry if the lines are crooked, it's really hard to use the line creator on PowerPoint. But the sections are broken down through the interview process. You can see there's a first interview, sales pitch, and a second interview. You can also put in a resume, and basically you're just trying to break up each part and to keep it organized and really compare candidates with each other. So for the columns in the first interview, you'll see there's like core behaviors, how they talk, what their functional skills are. Basically, they're attributes you want to look at when you're evaluating employees. For a resume, you can talk about education, experience, accomplishments, etc. So the rows are what the candidate's grades. So basically, you're rating the candidate, and then there's like a score column. And as you can see in the bottom right, candidate 3 and 4 actually didn't perform so well, so they didn't get called back for the second interview. Obviously, it's just an example, but it just shows like you're keeping it organized. You're trying to filter out the best employee, keep the best employees. A previous appraisal rating, it's a fancy word for like your old job reference. It's important to know, it's kind of hard to gauge, but you can get it through references, you can ask questions, and it's something that you want to try to find out to make sure, to see like why did they leave their old job, how they're going to fit in. When you're ranking applicants, there's different scales you can use. It's really by preference. Some people do 1 to 5, some people do it out of 100. But the key is to keep it consistent and keep it fair and break it down so that you're hiring the right person and keeping it really fair. All right, I can't stress enough, this won't give you the definitive answer. You're still going to have to make a decision. Basically what this is going to do is it's just going to outline and really make you look objectively, see who's going to fit your company, like who do you want to have in that position, and you want to give everyone a fair chance. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make a gut decision. You got to trust your gut every once in a while, even if it's like a 3.9, if someone's rated like a 3.9, the other person's rated a 3.8, but you really think the 3.8's better for the job, that's fine. You can do that. But the idea is to just outline it and make sure it's fair. It's a puzzle. You got to find the piece that fits your company. So your matrix needs to be tailored to what you're looking for to complete that puzzle. In a football terms, if you have 2 great wide receivers, but you don't have a quarterback that will throw to them, those wide receivers can't be that great. You need to have your employees complement each other and do better. So the Warriors are a perfect example of finding the right piece. They were like a pretty talented team, but they could never get past the first round of the playoffs. They fired their old coach, they hired Steve Kerr, and since then the rest is history. They won the NBA championship, they just broke the win record, they're doing great in the playoffs. So it just shows that if you find the right person, it can complement your team. So for benefits, speed, effectiveness, organization. It really speeds up the process a little bit. You're not arguing too much. You're really looking at it objectively. You're effectively laying out what the applicant, what you need out of the applicant, and you're staying organized throughout the process. So for the new and you, my dad actually owns his own business. It's a conveyor installation business, and he's the only business owner, but he uses this tool for promotions. So I actually asked him about it. So he doesn't have a high turnover rate, but one time his foreman left and he had to hire a new foreman. But he used the matrix actually. He kind of knew who he wanted to hire, but this allowed him to objectively look at it, see who would be the best for the job, and eventually he did hire his gut feeling. But it's all about just laying it out and making sure you're hiring the right person.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the decision making and the offer letter. The decision making is where the managers have to make a decision on what employee is going to get hired by the managers. The managers are the ones that are responsible. It could be the HR manager or the department or general manager of the place. Who makes the final decision? Like I said before, the decision on who gets hired for the company. Some companies leave it up to the HR manager, and others leave it up to the department or general manager to decide. As you can see here.